Today, we are diving into a beautiful short story. It's about a girl, a visitor from another dimension, and a very old tree. But really, it's about this huge idea that we all kind of overlook, the simple, world-changing power of just listening.
You've heard this before, right? It's that judgment call people make about something or someone they think is past its prime. And that one single dismissive thought, well, that's where our story really begins. It's a belief that has taken over an entire town.
All right, so let's set the scene. Picture this, a quiet little square on a street called Sleepy Pebbles, and right in the middle stands our main character. And no, it's not a person, it's a tree that everyone, and I mean everyone, has completely given up on. And you can really hear the town's attitude in the words they use. They say it's old, complicated, its branches are twisted like adult thoughts, and, it's unproductive. For years, it hasn't produced a single piece of fruit. So the verdict was in. It was dry, it was finished.
But then we meet Leah, and she comes along and asks this brilliant, simple question that just cuts through all that noise. She basically asks, wait a minute, how can a tree just stop making fruit just because a bunch of grown-ups decided it was done? She introduces this powerful little seed of doubt. What if the story everyone's been telling is just wrong? Now here's where things get really interesting. Leah doesn't just keep this question to herself. Nope. She goes right to the source. She starts talking to the tree, asking it questions. And this one simple act, this sincere curiosity, has an effect that is literally out of this world.
And just listen to the kind of questions she asks. They're not demanding answers. They're so gentle and full of empathy. Instead of judging the tree for what it's not doing, Leah's actually trying to understand what it's feeling. She isn't trying to fix it, she's trying to hear it. And one of these questions, well, it's just so genuine. That poof, it tears a hole clean through dimensions, and a boy named Kalun, who's an interdimensional traveler, suddenly just appears, right there next to her. And this is where we see the real power of what Leah just did. Kalun explains that her question, her quantum leap of doubt, was so powerful, so potent, that it yanked him from his world right into hers. This wasn't some kind of hocus-pocus magic. It was the power of pure, genuine curiosity.
Okay, so now we get to the absolute heart of the story. Kalun, with his totally unique perspective, takes a look at the tree and gives it completely different diagnosis. He reveals that the whole town, with their judgment of useless, had missed the point entirely. This right here is the game changer. Kalun's special way of seeing things doesn't register a dry old tree. It detects a lie. The tree wasn't dying. It had been silenced. It had made an active choice to stop, and there was a very, very good reason why. This is the big aha moment. The community looked at the tree and saw old, but the reality was it felt unheard. They called it useless, when really it just felt invisible. They decided it was dry, but the truth was it had been silenced. See, the problem wasn't some failure in its biology, it was a failure of connection from everyone around it. So why? Why did it go silent? Well, because it felt like its purpose was just gone. Think about it from the tree's perspective. It watched the world change. It saw kids staring at screens instead of playing at its roots. It watched adults rushing around, too busy to even glance its way. It felt its own seeds, its potential for new life, being trampled without a second thought. Nobody was there to receive what it had to give anymore.
And then Kalun just drops this universal truth bomb on us. This isn't just about a tree. This is about what happens to any living thing, a person, a big idea, even a whole community, when we stop being curious. When that connection just disappears. Without anyone asking, without anyone checking in, that life force, it just withers.
So now that we finally understand the real problem, the solution becomes crystal clear. And it's not about fertilizer or more water or some complicated plan. Leah gets it. The tree doesn't need to be fixed. It needs to be heard.
This is Leah's magic spell right here. It's not a command, it's a promise, a commitment. She offers the one thing that had been missing all along, a witness. She promises to listen, giving the tree the very thing it had been starving for.
And the response? It's immediate. It's not in words, it's a feeling, a deep physical reaction. The whole tree trembles just from being seen and heard for the first time in years. And then the miracle.
a single, tiny, green bud appears. It's a real, tangible sign that life is coming back. And it's not because of some physical cure, but because of an emotional one. The simple act of listening literally brought this tree back to life.
So what does this amazing little story really mean for us? Let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture here. This isn't just about a tree on sleepy Pebble Street. It's a metaphor for how we can bring life back to the worlds all around us.
Oh, I just love this. Kalun gives us the perfect way to think about it. He says a sincere question is like a world-watering can. How great is that? It's a tool that every single one of us has. We can use it to bring life and color back to people, to projects, even to parts of ourselves that maybe we've written off as dry or useless.
And Kalun's final thought just ties it all together perfectly. It's the two sides of this incredibly powerful coin. When we're silent, when we neglect things, they wither away. But when we choose to listen, really and truly listen, we don't just fix one thing, we make the whole world bloom. Which kind of leaves us with a question, doesn't it? What in your world is just waiting for you to listen?